we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut, cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
Yo, what up, folks? Welcome back. It's a brand new episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, Twitch, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm Trey Frazier, and that's the homie Maestro Styles over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's going on, man? How's your week, man?
I'm good, man. Good, man. I'm ready to get to Thanksgiving, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm ready to eat. You know, I've been doing this dieting thing. You know, I'm down, weight down, all that. But you know, this is one of the times you gotta put that to the side and get back on Friday type.
I'm ready to just not work.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel you on that. I took a couple of days off, just a couple of them, but you know, so I'll enjoy that. And, you know, I'm gonna tell you one thing. My 9 to 5 definitely took me into this little short vacation real fast. So, you know, shout out to my 9 to 5.
I'm just ready to just not work, man. And I'm looking forward to Thursday. And I just found out last week that I have to work the day after Thanksgiving for the first time in
I ain't never heard of that.
A long time, man. Well, I found out that because we had Indigenous People Day off earlier in the year last month.
So, these corporations, boy. So they took away Black Friday because of Indigenous People Day. They should just give you Indigenous People Day.
Right. They should just add that to the list of holidays that we already got off. But
let's be clear, I don't get Indigenous People Day on my side. So
yeah, I don't know. They got me good on that one. I mean, it hurt my feelings. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, what? We got to work Friday? We got to work Black Friday? Yeah. Last year, we didn't get Indigenous People Day off. But we did get the Black Friday off last year. But I had to go back to the calendar, and it said that Black Friday was a floating holiday. So,
wow.
Next year, I don't know which holiday they're going to pick. I might end up be working Black Friday again next year. But yeah, that kind of hurt my feelings, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, man, do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, tonight's going to be a dope show tonight, man. One of the brothers we had on last year, OJ Spivey, with the Philadelphia Tribune, covers the Philadelphia Eagles and also covers the Sixers for the Tribune, is going to come through. Had a big win Sunday night against the Rams. Saquon Barkley is looking like an MVP candidate right now. And we're going to, preview Ravens and Eagles, which is like the late, 4:25 window game on Sunday. And also talk a little bit of Sixers with him and find out what the hell's wrong with that team being 13 or something crazy like that.
I mean, I guess we kind of know, but yeah, for sure.
We kind of know, but there's been some stuff coming out of there that's like wow, like wow stuff. So yeah, man. Let's start with the winners, man. Ravens last night in LA against the Chargers. Defense came to play. Offense, it took a little bit, we're down 10-0, and then Lamar and Bateman got it going. And I credit this to defense more so because of the struggles from earlier in the year up until about a couple weeks ago. They've had a great couple of weeks, man. I know we lost to Pittsburgh, but defensively, they changed some things schematically, held the Steelers to 18 points, went to Los Angeles and held the Chargers to essentially 16 points. That, late touchdown was, garbage time, and the refs, and you and I, we've talked about refs. It feels like most of the year, it's like, generally speaking, these refs kind of suck this year. It's been wild with the
enlighten me, because I ain't watched that game last night. I went to sleep. I ain't gonna lie to you, Trey. And I know this is a sports show. I am really valuing sleep nowadays.
You better. You better.
Yeah, I am really valuing sleep. So I might have watched the first quarter, yawned a little bit, and said, "All right, let me go."
Game was watching you.
And I said, "Let me take this to the bed." Took this to the bed. And by the time I woke up, they was doing post game. So
you stayed up for that snow game Thursday night, though. I'm sure you did.
But that's Pittsburgh. That's a little different for me. You know what I'm saying? But
you gonna fight to stay up for that one.
Yeah. Well, I was up no homo for that one because it was a good one. It was a good game. Two, it was my team, so it's like all right, and also I realized we needed that game. Say what you want. We need
division games, man.
Division game. We got tough games all pretty much through the rest of the year. Like we needed that game. So I was really just watching, hoping we pulled a win off, and we almost pulled it off. But James, shout out to that defense. Shout out to Jameis Winston. I don't really got much to say about that game outside of I'm sorry, I kind of shitted on your game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get back to it. Trust me.
Respect.
Trust me.
Man. I watched that game, just kind of was like, all right, we ain't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because look, say what you want about it. I don't think Jameis Winston is a top tier quarterback. I think he can start somewhere in this league.
He got that arm talent though.
Yeah, but he gave that ball up a few times. But when he needed to make the plays, when the defense put him in a position to make the plays, that's what he did. Yeah. So I didn't want to lose, but Yeah.
Right. And it seemed like once the snow started coming, it seemed like the explosion of offense started happening for, at least for on the Pittsburgh side, because y'all was down, what was it, 18-6, I think, at one point.
Yeah. Look, man, one thing I would say about Pittsburgh offensively is red zone and Russell Wilson holds the ball too long. I feel like we're trying to get this moon ball so often that we forget, hey man, if you just run a 10-yard route, we can get the ball out quicker and and then make them back up off of us a little bit, and maybe we can start to get back into the moon ball thing. But I feel like watching that there are these routes are taking too long to progress, and the line isn't holding up. And Myles Garrett was clearly on a mission this week, and the Ravens.
He said he's the one.
Yeah,
he said he's the one. They asked him. They was like, think about you and TJ Watt, and he was like, respect to the man, but I'm that dude. I'm the one. So.
And let me be clear. You should feel that way, Myles Garrett. But last year, TJ Watt was snubbed. Sorry. I'm not saying you not nice. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that last year, TJ Watt was snubbed. And I stand on that. And I'm glad, look, come in with your vigor, and he played a hell of a game. Yeah. But that don't change the fact that last year he was snubbed.
And let's be clear, both of those guys, Hall of Fame trajectory.
Sure.
Both those guys for sure. I want to ask you something about that game. I'm gonna get to the Ravens in a sec, but we saw a lot more. I don't want to say a lot. We saw Justin Fields a lot more in these packages than we did the previous week. You think that's something that they're going to incorporate down the line, or do you think it was because they was down by 12 points?
I think that it was a snow game, and running was more important than throwing, maybe. And Justin Fields presents that running option more than Russell Wilson does. So I mean, the first play he came in, he hit a 30-yarder, like straight off the rip. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that was the purpose of it. Yes, I do think we'll have more packages with Justin Fields, but I think everybody knows, like I said, Russell Wilson is the quarterback. And just I'm okay with it. In short, I'm okay with it. I ain't got no problem with it. Just don't turn the ball over and get in the end zone. That's my real issue right now. We should be putting up 30 points a game, and we're failing in the red zone. That's my issue with the Pittsburgh offense and the Pittsburgh as a team right now.
Yeah. Yeah, your man's Pickens was like, y'all lost because of the snow, which is crazy because when the snow started happening was when y'all was scoring.
Look, we lost because they punched us in the mouth and we didn't respond enough. That it ain't no another way to slice it. They punched us in the mouth early. Yep. We fought back, but at the end of the day, they was able to make the plays that we weren't able to make. And again, we were not good in the red zone. This is I think we like 29 or lower in red as far as red zone efficiency. So it's like we're not getting in the end zone when we in the red zone. And and that's going to be a problem if we plan on doing anything this year. Like, I saw somewhere in the past 30 years or so, only 2 teams with bad red zone efficiency actually made it to the Super Bowl. Like, it was the 15 Broncos and somebody else, I forget.
I was gonna say, it sound like one of them teams that don't have a great offense, but defense was dominant. Like it sounded like one of the teams.
Yeah,
and the Broncos was definitely that team that year.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't want to be bad at, I don't want to be this bad at red zone efficiency anymore, and I don't know how to fix it, but I know they need to figure out how to fix it if we plan on doing anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I would say Justin Fields is probably going to see some more field time. That doesn't mean he's the starter. It just means they're going to have some more situations for him to where they think they got a matchup, or they think, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they can convert that. He can convert that. So, and
I really think they need to utilize Freiermuth and Darnell Washington more in the red zone. I don't feel like they utilize him at all in the red zone.
Good
at
point.
all. Darnell Washington is 6'7", 270 pounds. Like, use him in the red zone, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. Give some shout outs here, man. The governor, Vince Wright, was good.
What up, governor?
Was good. 9-2 Vikings.
9-2. Man.
Hey, keep it going.
I don't know what that means for y'all, because I still don't believe y'all going nowhere. But shout out to y'all.
They going to playoffs. I mean,
for sure. But
know.
for
that
sure.
We know. But I would love to see a NFC North matchup in the playoffs. I would definitely love to see that.
I mean, real quick, it's Detroit, Philly, and
Detroit, Philly, Minnesota, Green Bay. I think those are in terms of record, like those are your heavyweights in the NFC right now.
And I don't feel like Minnesota's beating Philly or Detroit. I just right now I don't feel like in a playoff.
I still give Green Bay a shot.
Jordan Love, and I get it. They win a game, so I'm not
erratic with it sometime, but they can run the ball, man. They can run the ball.
For sure.
The defense been stepping up lately. I give the Packers a shot to maybe.
I like that secondary. I don't know about their front seven like that.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I give them a chance, though. I mean, if anybody,
you picked them to win a division.
I did. I did. But now that we're here and we're talking Detroit and Philly as being, the NFC Championship game, and I'm sure a lot of people think the same way, Green Bay may have something to say about that, legitimately.
Sure.
Like you, Minnesota, I'm not sure. I think the ceiling for them, is second round, and that's it.
Yeah, me too.
But other than that, it's Philly and Detroit, and Green Bay is. I ain't
gonna hold you. So Minnesota 3, maybe 3 seed, 2 seed at best, maybe by the time the playoffs start.
Well, they're gonna be a wild card because Detroit might.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
they're
right.
Gonna be a 5 seed. They're going to be a 5. So they either going to Atlanta or they could go to Arizona.
Okay.
Seattle. I know Seattle's on top of the division right now.
Yeah, I take that back then. Yeah, all right. They'll definitely get out the first round, in my opinion, then.
Yeah. I think it might be safe to say the Final Four is going to be those 4 teams. Safe to say. Because I don't see anybody else doing anything. I think the Niners are done.
Me too.
I think it's a wrap.
You took. I was going to ask that later on in the show. You took that, right? Yeah,
I think it's a wrap for the Niners, man.
Yeah, they got Buffalo. They got Buffalo next, and look. Truth be told, they got Buffalo. I think they got Chicago and
Buffalo, Chicago.
the
They still got some
Rams.
division games. The
Right.
Cardinals still in there. Miami.
So, yeah. Oh, they got they done.
And Miami's on the heater right now.
Yeah, they're done. They're done.
So
because they're at least, in my opinion, they're at least losing to Buffalo and Miami, and they might lose to Chicago depending on how they want to act.
Yeah, well, they might lose to them division opponents. Let's keep
that
it
part.
real.
That part.
I know they're a game out from first place there, but let's say they do end up winning the West and they're the 4th seed. I think they're going home.
But against Minnesota, I tell you this, I give them a chance against Minnesota at the 4 seed, the 4 or 5 seed. I give them a chance against Minnesota.
Okay. Now that I think twice about it.
Yeah. And if you're talking about Purdy, if Purdy playing by the playoffs,
I can see that. But if they match up against, let's say the Packers get the 5, and it's San Francisco at the 4th seed, then I could see Green Bay taking them out again.
Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that. But I can also see San Fran beating them in a playoff situation too.
Beating Green Bay, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that in a playoff situation.
Right. Because we're talking about pedigree when it comes to the Niners.
Right.
Despite the fact that they're underachieving, for their standards this year.
Yeah. Say what you want. Injuries.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Injuries for sure. For sure, man. X Squad Online Radio. What's up?
What up?
What's going on? Taz, what's good, man?
What's up, man?
What's good? Yeah, I ain't gonna do all that.
But no, don't worry. I saw it, man. We're not gonna talk about Notre Dame because I don't give a damn. But your Colts are trash, and just because you say they're not worth mentioning, we're gonna mention them just for you, man. But it's all love.
Oh, just to say that they're trash.
They are absolute trash.
At least we mentioned them.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to the Colts for being trash. And I'm gonna keep driving this point home to all the AFC South fans that felt like this was going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second, though. I gotta talk Ravens here because, like I said earlier, the defense stepped up again this week without Roquan, by the way. He injured a hamstring against Pittsburgh, if you remember, late in that game. And my boy Malik Harrison stepped up in his place, led the team in tackles with like 10, 12 tackles in the game. So we definitely needed that. Offense, they figured it out, was able to put 30 on them. And, I know they played Cincinnati last week, the Chargers I'm talking about. And I know we talked about the Chargers being this good defense. I guess led the league in at least points allowed.
14-4
something like that. You look at that schedule, though. When you look at the teams that they went up against, you kind of still wanted to get a feel for them until they went up against a real offense.
Okay.
They went up against a real offense in Cincinnati last week, and Cincinnati put up almost 30 on them. Yeah. Actually, it was 27 actually, but then that was still above what they was giving up. So I said going into the game, I said, yo, we could crack 30 on these dudes. Like if we just lock in, stay crisp, protect the quarterback, we could put 30 on these cats. And we hit that 30 mark on that defense. And I still think the Chargers are a good team. I still think they're going to the playoffs. But the Ravens needed that one to stay in this race for the AFC North.
Where do you stand at as far as the playoff race right now? So obviously
the Chargers.
Well, give me your seven seeds this week.
Set my 7 teams.
Teams right now. Yeah, right now. Who's in? Well,
Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the Texans, Chargers. I go Chargers. I'll go, and Denver's had
sound crazy
a quiet.
No more.
Denver said they're having a quiet, good year. I'm gonna just say this: Miami's coming.
Yeah.
Miami's
I'm between Miami and Denver. I'm leaning towards Miami because I'm used to them. I'm used to seeing Miami. Like that's what I'm used to.
Miami's coming, so Denver's got.
But I'll say this: Denver probably. I don't know the schedule offhand, but I would assume they have a weaker schedule right now.
Chargers, Kansas City, Colts, and that's all I remember. It's those 3 games, but I don't remember the other 2.
Okay,
but those important games for Denver are the 2 division games, Kansas City and the Charger.
Yeah.
And to an extent, Indy, depending on where Indy's at in that wild card race. But the most important ones are going to be them division games, especially with the Chargers.
I'm definitely gonna give the nod to the Dolphins, but good year for the old man Bo Nix.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been talk about this rookie of the year now because of Jaden Daniels kind of falling back to the pack a little bit. So I think there's a legit race for it right now. I'm not saying Bo Nix has leaped over Jaden Daniels. I'm just saying I think that gap has closened up a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I still think Jaden Daniels is gonna get it, but I agree that it's
Yeah.
What about Malik Neighbors?
Woo. Yeah, he said some stuff this week, man.
Called his team soft, man.
Yeah. Did we talk Daniel Jones getting
I don't think we did because I think he got
that
cut
just happened.
Yeah,
that happened
just
Friday.
Happened. Yeah.
That,
so
that just happened. Right.
Yeah,
right.
So he got cut. Look, man, all intents and purposes say he wants to go to a contender. The 2 teams that are on the quote unquote Ravens and the Vikings.
Yes, that's what I heard too. Minnesota.
So I ain't gonna hold you, man. And I'm not a Ravens fan. And I'm not rooting for y'all. That would be a good pickup for y'all.
Yeah. Offense, because Daniel Jones, he can run with the ball. Not saying he's not Lamar Jackson. Let's get that clear. But if you're talking about a backup, you're talking about a backup quarterback situation. Yeah, I think he can come in, and especially Josh Johnson. That's our backup now.
Yeah,
Josh Johnson been in the league 50-something years.
Yeah, you go ahead and put him on the practice squad or whatever. Whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, I love the whole black quarterback room and all that, but God forbid something happens to Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones is on waivers. Hey, go get him.
And damn that way. I don't know with the money and how that would work out, but why wait?
That's well,
yeah.
true.
Why even wait
true.
for an injury? I mean, obviously, you don't want an injury for Lamar Jackson, but I'm not even waiting. I'm
right.
Hey, Josh, if I can,
not waiting to clear waivers, right?
And he's cleared. He's cleared. So. Well, I was expecting a text message or something almost immediately once he cleared waivers. I don't know why Minnesota or Baltimore, if those are the favorites, would be waiting at all. I don't even know who the Vikings backup is. I know who Baltimore's is. I wouldn't be waiting. Daniel Jones would be a backup on the Baltimore Ravens if I was in that office now.
I'd bring him in.
Yeah,
bring him in. I'd be all for it. Hopefully, I was hoping Jerry Jones wouldn't do the crazy thing and pick up Daniel Jones off of waivers.
I had a Cowboy fan
set up this Thanksgiving matchup.
I had a Cowboy fan just tell me we need to go get Daniel Jones. I literally just had a Cowboy fan say that to me today. Like, we need to go get Daniel Jones. And I was telling her, like, nah, y'all not going to get Daniel Jones. But, she was like, yeah, get him. Like, was on it.
Daniel Jones, I think, wants to be in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, no, he said he's made it clear he wants to be on a contender team. So respect to the Vikings. Respect to the Vikings and their run. I wouldn't call them a competing team yet.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying?
They're early, and quite frankly, this was not supposed to be a 9-2 football team.
Nobody saw it coming.
When you think about JJ McCarthy going down in preseason. And Sam Darnold, of all people, coming in, this wasn't supposed to be a 9-2 year, but yet, here we are with the Vikings. There's something in the water up there when it comes to quarterbacks with that franchise for some reason, but it seems to work out for them.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, I don't think this is they're still in the second round, like you said, bro.
Pretty much.
Like you said.
And what about these upsets that happened over the weekend? I mean, in addition to Pittsburgh getting upset by Cleveland, you had the Titans going to Houston and upset the Texans. You had C.J. Stroud pulling a Dan Orlovsky in that fourth quarter. That wasn't a good look for him.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I was clearly off base with that whole Texans getting the number 1 seed thing. But look, they still a good team, so I ain't gonna say that. Like they still in the driver's seat for the South. I would love to sit here and like, oh, this team, like they're fine. They're fine.
I think the expectations coming into the year was AFC Championship game in most people's eyes. I think you could take that off the board now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that was my projection. Yeah, I don't know if that was my projections. I get that I said they was gonna have the number 1 seed, but I don't know if I saw them going to the AFC Championship though.
So you saw them getting knocked off in like the divisional round,
the second round. Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, they can't protect C.J. Stroud either. So they get the division and good luck in the postseason. Good luck.
Because they're looking at the number 4 seed.
Number 4 seed.
Yeah, so they're looking at Pittsburgh or Baltimore. Obviously we're still
Chargers.
Maybe
something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. And then you had the Commanders getting upset by the Cowboys. And
man, I to the Commanders fans, you had blame RG3 for the bad minutia. Shout out to Liz.
Hope was in the building too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that. Excuse me. Is this true that did that Jay got a stake in the Commanders?
I haven't heard that. So the only connection I made was Josh Harris, who owns the team now. So him and Michael Rubin, because remember Rubin had a share of the Sixers, and Josh Harris still owns the Sixers,
right? Partly.
So there's that connection, and then obviously Hove and Michael Rubin, they have that, relationship there as well. So I know. I've always known Jay-Z to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. So then that was my first thought. But there's a video circulating about and Dez Bryant, who was also in that box with him, was teasing Jay-Z, Corday, and Wale about the Cowboys winning. And I thought that was awkward because I was like, well, I've always known Jay-Z to be a Cowboys fan. So then when I started, just going through comments, somebody was saying that Jay-Z got a stake in the Commanders. So I don't know how true or false it is, but I thought that was interesting that Dez Bryant is a Cowboys fan. I would think that he would know that Jay-Z is a Cowboys fan. But but he was steady trolling them in there. So I thought maybe they had but RG3 wearing that cowboy hat, bad minutia. That's not a good thing. But the funniest part of because he was the legend of the game, right? RG3. He was
And look, hey, I saw it on Twitter and I agreed with it, so I'm just going to keep it a buck. We got to slow down on this legend stuff. RG3 is not a legend, y'all. He had that year. No disrespect.
He's not a legend. He's not
a legend, y'all. Respect to what he did that year, that spark he put into the team and into the fan base.
2012.
But nah, bruh. And then he came in there with a Cowboys hat. But the funniest part of that game, bruh, to me, is that onside kick. That nigga said, fuck ending the game. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine because I might not never get it at all this year, and I'm going to get it right now. And it could have cost him the game, not really, but just in theory, it could have cost him the game because he could have just downed it, and they could have downed it, and the game would have been over. But I look,
I'm like, my nigga, you 4-7.
Yeah, man.
Get your touchdown, man.
Man, yeah.
Go get your touchdown, man.
I sat on that couch and laughed my ass off. I said, that nigga really wanted that motherfucker. And every time I've seen it since then, I laugh a little more.
Mm-hmm. Go get the touchdown, man.
That
bunch of plays.
Yeah, that rivalry is still alive, man. Like, every
bunch
now
of
and
plays
then
in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, man.
Woo,
fire that kicker.
Woo, yeah.
Fire that kicker.
So
get him out
an
of
update on that. They put him on IR.
They put Seibert on IR?
They put Seibert on IR.
Yeah. Bring Gonzalez back, man. Bring Gonzalez back.
Yeah. I tell
you. Yikes.
The Terry McLaurin touchdown, the 86-yarder. Woo.
That defense is some shit.
I thought for sure the Commanders was gonna come back and win right off of that play.
They said I heard people saying that they told the defense to let him get the score, to let him score. I ain't believe that. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you what Cowboy fans say. I don't believe it either.
Cowboy fans got nothing to look forward to but the spread lies.
Look, team. I'm used to this being the other way around, where the Commanders are where their Super Bowl around this time of year is normally playing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So watching the inverse of it is hilarious because my 9 to 5, it is. I mean, these Cowboy fans are rabid. They are talking crazy to these Commanders fans, like y'all some y'all. And Commanders fans, but we about to go to playoffs. Don't matter. Y'all some shit for losing to us because we some shit. But I say, and I just you ain't gonna have
you
no
saying out of
activity.
that, like you staying out of that, like
Well, no, look. The Cowboys again. The Cowboys were playing their Super Bowl this year. That's what they were doing.
Yep.
So to win their Super Bowl, if I'm a Commanders fan, I was telling the Commanders fan Monday, I'm like, hey man, let's go ahead and let them have it, man. Y'all are doing way different things right now this year than what they're doing. Let them have that little Super Bowl, man. Y'all need to focus on y'all next game because let's be clear, y'all done lost 3 in a row.
Yeah,
y'all need to, y'all worried about, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't got no time to be
in Tennessee's defense, you can argue their front 7 is better than Dallas's front 7. Like you can make
right now.
Yeah. So they better watch out because they got teams breathing down their neck.
Yeah, and losing 4 in a row.
Yeah, not a good look. Look. Let's get the homie in here, man. Got my guy OJ Spivey here.
Yes, sir.
Live from Philly. Philadelphia Tribune, sports writer for the Philadelphia Eagles for the Tribune, also covers the Sixers and all that good stuff. Great times in Philly, OJ. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Trey? What's up, Maestro? Well, great times if you're an Eagles fan. Sixers not so much.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get to the Sixers in a minute, but we got to talk about winners on this platform and the Eagles the other night with a great performance from Saquon Barkley, who now legitimately is in that MVP race right now with 1,300 yards rushing and I think 500 yards receiving right now. Take us through, OJ, with this Philly team because it was a slow start. It's 2-2. They've won 6 straight, I think, 6 or 7 straight, and they firing on cylinders, man. Talk about it.
Yeah, man. Just as I wrote in the Tribune this past week, well, a couple of days ago, they've come a long way from 2-2. And you just think back in the first month of the season, everybody's wondering, okay, is this still a hangover from 2023 when they still had the late season swoon? Everybody wanted Nick Sirianni out of here. Okay, why did you bring him back for 2024?
Which is crazy, by the way. You're gonna fire the coach off of a Super Bowl.
Welcome to Philadelphia, man. So, and I even wrote in my piece that listen, my mom, she once booed Smokey Robinson at a concert. So that's how far back Philadelphia goes as far as fans is concerned. So my mom could boo, anybody could boo. But right. I digress. But anyway, they come a long way from 2-2, and then they had an early bye. And then, guys came to Nick Sirianni and he said, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, a couple guys on the offensive line, even Jalen Hurts. They went to Nick Sirianni and say, hey, we got this cannon and Saquon Barkley. Let's get back to running the ball. The Eagles traditionally, they speak a lot about explosive plays, and that not only comes from Nick Sirianni, that comes from the top. Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they want explosive plays. So that kind of speaks to when you watch them play, their slow starts. They're looking to see what they can take, right? But after that bye, the players wanted to get the team back to what they're used to. And again, when you bring in somebody like a Saquon Barkley, and we've seen now week after week after week how much of a game changer that he is. You spoke about his 1,392 yards. He's going to shatter the franchise record, and not only that, he has a good shot of getting 2,000 yards along with Derrick Henry in Baltimore. Derrick Henry for a second time rather. But they've all put it together. They've all working on all cylinders. They're getting healthy, even though they didn't have Devontae Smith against the Rams, but you saw that still wasn't a problem. But this is a good team, and it kind of reminds me of their Super Bowl year of 2022, and even in some aspects 2017, because part of that, not only are they winning games and handling their opponents for the most part, they're having fun doing it, and we didn't see any of that last year. And even though Jalen Hurts is not putting up gaudy numbers, and I'm not even big on gaudy numbers. I don't really care what it looks like. Okay, can your quarterback win the game?
Yeah.
And depending on who you talk to, there is some perception, and I think this is just silly that they're winning in spite of him. Those people are not really watching the games. I mean, he has command. Not only does he have command of the field, he has command of the locker room. Every last person on that roster in that facility believes in Jalen Hurts, and they believed in him in day one. He's the reason why Carson Wentz is no longer there, and that goes back a few years. But
that's right.
I mean, he is the undisputed leader of that team. Even 10, 12-year, 15-year veterans. You saw Brandon Graham. He's now lost for the season with a torn tricep. But from him on down to rookie player, they look at Jalen Hurts. And going back to Sirianni, it sounds silly from outside of Philadelphia of somebody wanting to fire him. I never looked at him as a great X and O's guy, great X and O's coach. But when you get right down to it, he is still a good leader of men, and that's why they keep winning. I mean, I keep looking at the record. I think Sirianni's now 43-19 as a head coach,
something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, he's doing something right. I mean, do I think he's a little goofy at times as we see some of his decision making and everything? But you see that with other coaches. Even John Harbaugh in Baltimore, some of the head scratching moves that I see from the outside.
Hey, we had to do that last night, though. Last night when we was back at our own 16-yard line, he was like, "Yo, I'm going for this because we got to score." So I respect
you got to score.
What he did there. I respect what he did there.
And again, when you look right in the grand scheme of things, it's really not any different than any other coach. And John Harbaugh is looked at as more of an old school coach, right?
Yeah.
So, so it really doesn't make a difference. But they play for him. They believe in Jalen Hurts. And, they have a lot of weapons. But Saquon Barkley is really the difference maker. And, I mean, you talk about not that their offense was primitive before. It's like going from, a biplane to the space shuttle. And that's that's a difference Saquon Barkley has made. And these guys want to block for him. They want to be on the field with him, and you saw the other night. Once Saquon Barkley gets out in the open field, they know he's going. I mean, you see Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts putting their arms up, putting their hands up. So, he's going. We know he's going. I mean, they go over it in practice.
Right now in the league right now, I know Derrick Henry's there in the conversation. Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the league right now.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I can respect that. And I'm glad you brought up Derrick Henry,
I think he's
too.
a little more versatile if you think about it. But, I mean, I love me some King Henry, too. So,
yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Derrick Henry because Saquon was on the pivot a few weeks ago, and they asked him about Derrick Henry. And he talked and said, hey, I respect Derrick Henry and what he's done and the fact that he's, approaching 30 years old and is still doing this the way he's doing it. But watching that clip of him say that and him kind of give a little smirk told me that this dude wants the rushing title.
Yeah.
I could feel it. Like him saying that and him paying homage to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I think it's friendly competition. Yeah,
right.
And we'll
it's
see
friendly
that this
competition,
week, obviously. So, yep.
Yeah. He wants the rushing title for sure.
So, how you feel, Brandon Graham, with him being out for the year? How you think that's going to affect your defense, if at all?
I think it's a significant loss, Maestro, because Brandon Graham was 35, 36 years old, 15 years in the league. We saw the other night a couple sacks, I believe, that he got against Matt. Yeah, exactly.
He popped him.
I thought he took out his shoulder, honestly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for a while, and before Vic Fangio got the defense together and kind of restore order, as I kind of say, they're now the number one defense, if you count yards per game. But, I mean, he was a key cog in that defense, in that pass rush, before even Josh Sweat got going.
Right.
Before, as you see some flashes of Nolan Smith, who now really has to take over that side of the edge for Brandon Graham because they were rotating. But it's a big loss because not only is he good against the pass, he's good against the run. He's still going strong. I mean, yeah, it's I don't know how they're going to replace them. I think they'll be okay with both Sweat on one edge and then Nolan Smith on the other. And they get good linebacker play with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. But, I think it's going to be a tough game this week, but I just think going forward, I think they'll be okay, even though it's going to be a big loss.
What's the consensus, in your opinion, on Jalen Carter right now and this year?
When I look at some of the film of Jalen Carter, I mean, I knew he had talent, and he had a great rookie year. He kind of fell off a little bit, but the whole defense fell off last year, right?
Yeah.
But he's having an all-pro season, and when I look at him on film, he literally looks unblockable. And I try not to make comparisons to all the all-time greats, and I'll try not to do that. But I talked to one person the other day, and the name that he brought up was Ndamukong Suh. And I think that was a fair comparison, And I go all the way back, of course, we've seen Aaron Donald. I'm sure you guys saw most, if not all, of Warren Sapp. I go back to Joe Green, probably the last half of his career. I'm old enough to remember Joe Green.
Right.
I'm not going to go that far, but I think Ndamukong Suh is a good comparison because you saw the other night against the Rams. I mean, he was literally double teamed, if not every play, every other play, and sometimes being held. I mean, it's getting to the point where the only way you could stop him is to hold him. And I mean, he is literally, no pun intended, going back to his Georgia days, but he's literally a one-man wrecking crew on that line.
What about the secondary? Because they stepped up in the past few weeks. They're playing some really great football on that back end of the defense.
Well, Trey, I think a big part of it is the youth. I mean, you start with Quinyon Mitchell, the kid they got out of Toledo, a small school. There was so many questions about taking him in the first round. So, level competition and all that. I always feel that if you can play, you can play, right?
Yeah.
Almost 10-15% of players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame came from HBCUs or small schools. So, it's not a big deal to me. But, I mean, he is more than solid. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Pro Bowler or not even an All-Pro because, I mean, he rarely gets beat. Rarely gets beat.
Yeah.
And then when he makes a mistake, I mean, he already looks like a 5-year veteran. And then I think the return of C.J. Gardner-Johnson was very huge for the Eagles secondary. They shouldn't have let him go last year to Detroit. I thought that was a mistake and partly why the Eagles ended up the way they did last year. But I think he's in there stabilizing the safety position along with Reed Blankenship, who I think is a bit underrated. He's having a good year himself.
Yeah, Darius Slay.
Before
Darius
he
Slay went out with the injury. And I know he's questionable.
Slay's been banged up this year, but whenever he's been on, in the starting lineup, he's played well. He's played very solid for a 12-year veteran. And, some fans don't like him because, he gets on Micah Parsons' podcast and he says this, that, and the third. I mean, he's a bit of a character. You have to understand that. But when he gets on the field, he's solid. You don't have to worry about that. And I think also the X factor is Cooper DeJean,
Yeah.
the rookie they got in the second round, and he has solidified that slot position. And I thought I saw him as a safety, but I mean he's really good being a number one slot corner, and they cause a lot of problems for a lot of opponents. And again, it's going to be interesting to see going forward, and even this week as they go down to Baltimore.
Shout out to that one white cornerback.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you guys caught this. So between Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship, if you ever been in a liquor store and they have the section Exciting Whites, that's their nickname. They even came in a couple weeks ago with a T-shirt.
That's funny.
Exciting Whites. So that was kind of funny.
Wow. All right, so in the NFC, me and Trey talked about it a little bit before you came on. The way I got it ranked is Detroit is running the NFC right now, but Philly's right there, right behind them. How do you think y'all going to stack up? Because projection-wise, it would seem like you probably about to have to see them. Obviously depending on seeds, but if you win out like we think you're going to win out, and Detroit wins out like we think they're going to win out, you're going to see them in the NFC Championship. How do you think you're faring out with them right now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a collision course. Excuse me, but and I think it all fares down to who's going to have a home field advantage. If Detroit holds serve and they hold on to that number one seed, it's going to be tough for anybody to go up in Ford Field and beat Detroit, because it seems to where they almost seem unbeatable. I think their one loss this year is at home. But still. But on the other side, I think if Detroit had to come down to the link, and it's kind of crazy to say because Detroit is a cold weather city, but they play inside.
They play indoors,
Right. So, but coming in late January in Philadelphia, it's going to be cold, loud, a raucous crowd. You know how Philly fans could be. I think that would be tough for Detroit to go in there and get the win. So I just think it's just a matter. It really is just a matter of home field advantage. I do give Detroit the slight edge because they have that, the 9-1 record or 10-1, I believe. And again, if they hold serve, it's just going to be tough for anybody to beat. But even before you get to the NFC Championship game, I really see an easy road for both the Eagles and the Lions.
I agree.
Yeah, because I was saying it's those two in the title game, but Green Bay looked like a team that might have something to say about that. Minnesota, nice record, 9-2. Nobody expected them, but I think Minnesota's ceiling is the second round. But I think Green Bay, because they can run the football and they can play some good defense, especially on the back end, I think that's the team that can upset that Detroit-Philly matchup come January.
Yeah, I agree with you, Trey. If I had to pick one team out of the NFC that is more consistent than the rest of the pack, that would be the Green Bay Packers. I mean, because if you look at the NFC South, that's a mess. You look at the NFC West, you got surprisingly Arizona, and then you got Seattle kind of fighting for, that top spot in the NFC West. The 49ers there between their injuries, and they have a total Super Bowl hangover. I don't see them coming about. The Eagles took care of the Rams the other day, so it's kind of going to be tough for them to kind of rebound with that. So it looks like Green Bay is probably that, so to speak, wild card that can maybe go in and try to upset either Philly or Detroit.
You coming to Baltimore for the game?
I'm gonna try. It's pending right now, but we'll see.
Okay, because I was just telling this to somebody the other day. Of all the Philly-Baltimore matchups, and it's only once every 4 years, right? But I've been trying.
It should be more, but I understand how the schedule works. So.
Right, exactly. And I'm trying to think in the history of this matchup. I'm trying to think of the last time this was like a big time like matchup. I mean, you got two teams, 8-4. What are y'all, 9-2? Coming in. Yeah. In that 425 window, big game for both teams. You got two of the top rushers in the league by a lot. I think the next guy, number 3, is like 900
Joe Mixon,
yards.
like Joe Mixon or something like that.
Something like that, or Josh Jacobs or something like that. Like I'm trying to think of the last like meaningful Eagles-Ravens matchup. This might be the first one where it's like, okay, it's stars versus stars, it's heavyweight versus
Yeah,
heavyweight.
definitely not. Definitely, it hasn't had the star power in years past, and
Yeah.
I think usually the schedule is early in the season. And again, you have the two leading rushers in the league. You have two black superstar quarterbacks, and Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. And hey, you got two black cities, Philadelphia and Baltimore. A lot of people don't realize Philadelphia is a black city. Not by a lot, but it's a black city.
Was it just a little bit north of 50%, something like that?
So it's about 44% majority.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so it's
because I was told back then, if your population black was over 50%, you was a black ass city. That's what I was told. I don't know if that still stands or not. Because Baltimore is 64%.
Yeah, I call it a black city. People seem to be afraid to say it and all.
Yeah.
And you look at our culture and everything, you add to that as well. But we are a majority minority city. And a lot of people don't like to say that because most of the fans, maybe come from the suburbs or come from South Jersey and everything. But it's the truth. It's 44% black. And they love Jalen Hurts. They love their team just as much as anybody else. So
yeah, they like, these cities are like cousins to each other. Like people,
that's how I call
you go through the hoods, and Baltimore reminds you of Philly. Philly reminds you of Baltimore. It's that kind of a thing. Yeah,
I love Charles City, man. I don't know if y'all call it that and everything. A lot of times we'll go down there and drive down.
They call it Bodymore.
Bodymore. There we go. I love the accent too. A lot of times I'll drive down 95 just to go down there and get something to eat, whatever. I'm not gonna try to make crab cakes like Baltimore does, and I know Baltimore not gonna try to make cheesesteaks. So that's where I go, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So talk to me about the Eagles Ravens, man. What should Trey, as a Ravens fan, be concerned about going in Sunday? Kind of break down some key points that you seeing.
Well, of course, number one is obvious. You have to find a way to stop Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And not only Barkley himself, but it's the way that the Eagles pass block. I'm the run block, I should say. They have a great offensive line coach. He's literally the best in the business, and Jeff Stoutland. They call it Stoutland University up here. To take a guy like Jordan Mailata, who was basically a rugby player out of Australia, never played any college ball, and you see, he's knocking guys off the block, and pancaking guys. You have Cam Jurgens, who replaced Jason Kelce. Looks like they're not missing a beat, even though Kelsey's going to be a future Hall of Famer. So you do have to worry about the offensive line. You see what AJ Brown, the kind of matchup problems that he brings, especially across the middle. Baltimore's going to have to wrap him up, and he's not easy to tackle. If Devontae Smith comes back, he's also a deep threat. He's also good in the slot and going down the middle. And then I'm not as big on Dallas Goedert as so many people are, but he's a threat as well. And then you have Jalen Hurts. You don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to run the football or he's going to throw it downfield. And, he's been mistake-free pretty much these past 7 weeks during this 7-game winning streak. So whenever he takes care of the football, the Eagles win. It's really that simple. And defensively, as I talked about earlier, you have to find a way to block Jalen Carter, double team him, triple team him if you have to, because if you just leave him alone with one guy, he's really going to wreak havoc. But then again, they haven't faced a guy like Lamar Jackson, and that kind of, as personally as the Eagles fan, that makes me kind of uneasy because pretty much all the quarterbacks that they've dealt with this year pretty much stay in the pocket, and you just never know what Lamar is going to do, especially when he buys time and then he just flicks it 60 yards downfield. So the Eagles have to stay disciplined with that again. But what the corners are going to do as far as Quinyon Mitchell. He's really, really a good young cornerback, and again the secondary, and then with Derrick Henry, I think it's going to be really an important thing for the linebackers, for Nakobe Dean and Zach Bowen, who have done a great job, especially again after that 2-2 start. Not only do they run and hit they've tackled very well. And early in the season, they missed a lot of tackles. So it's going to be key for them to try to stop Derrick Henry, of course.
Sure, for sure. So Trey, vice versa.
Yeah.
Would this Spivey have to worry about dealing with the Ravens?
Well,
key points.
You said Lamar Jackson, and for as maligned as our offensive line has been taking preseason going into the regular season, they've been able to protect Lamar very well. I mean, he's only been sacked 13, 14 times this year. And some of that has to do with—
I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
Right. And some of it has to do with Lamar Jackson being able to escape the pocket and things like that. But there's other times where Lamar just sits back there and he's surveying. And I know this has been a complaint amongst fans where it's like, yo, just run. Like, if you don't see it, just run. But he's going through progressions. He's trying to find the open dude. And if he don't get it, he don't get it. And he's only thrown 3 interceptions this year. And you can argue all 3 interceptions bounced off of his receiver. So he's been very great at protecting the football. So I would worry about Lamar Jackson in that regard. I would also, and I know the defense has taken a beating through the first 9-10 weeks, but against the Chargers, they played good. Against Pittsburgh, even though we lost, they played some good defense. I would worry about Roquan if he comes back, because I think he saw last night Malik Harrison step in for him and lead the team in tackles. And I think he's trying to hurry up and get back into that lineup. Now, Roquan, he's not having a great year. I don't know what's going on. He put on some weight this year, but I think in retrospect, it was good that he sat out last night just to give himself a break. We'll see what happens if he can, get a little bit better with the hamstring. And things like that. We'll see what happens there, because I could use him. I can use Roquan Smith, especially against that Eagles offensive line for sure. You talked about how they've been blocking for Saquon and everything. So that would be something. If you're an Eagles fan and you're thinking about what's there to worry about, it's those two things. It's Lamar Jackson and it's that defense finally appearing to turn the corner. But obviously, I think both fan bases feel like this is a tough test on both sides.
For sure. Well, I have a quick question for you, Trey. What type of year is Kyle Hamilton is having? Because I know he gets a lot of the press on that defense, and the most popular player, and rightfully so for the most part. What type of year is he having?
It's really so, and I think the reason is because he's been put out of place. So Zach Orr, who's a former, Raven player, got bumped up to defensive coordinator in the offseason. So Zach Orr has been taking a lot of hits in the media as far as making the play calls, communication, things like that. So they had Kyle Hamilton out of place. And it was the Pittsburgh game where they finally said, okay, we just going to let you roam the box. We're just going to let you roam. We're going to play, we're going to play that way and see, how you fit out. And he had a great game. Despite the loss, he had a great game last night. Same thing. Had him roam that backfield and, play that cover. Great job by Kyle Hamilton. So I would say overall, it's been a so-so year for him. But I think because of the change at how Zach Orr is putting him in position now, I think you can kind of see that moving forward for him. And I think his play is going to excel as the season goes on.
Yeah, so let's get to it then. Scores, predictions. I start with you, OJ.
Oh man, y'all hold me to the fire.
We love it on Tuesday.
Are you allowed to get predictions?
Or...
Yeah,
okay.
The trib is great to me, man. He pretty much just let me do what I want, and I'm very blessed to feel that way. And you know, that's one of the great things about Black media too. So shout out to my editors at the Trib. So again, I feel kind of uneasy about this game, and the Eagles have played from great football, especially defensively, being a number one defense. But I'm just Lamar just scares me, man. He's almost keeping me up at night, and I'm not even playing, right? But I feel like this could be a close game. But I got to give the Ravens the edge. And, maybe the Eagles will do for a letdown. I think it's maybe a 3-point game. I don't know if it'll be high scoring. I'm almost about to say maybe 30-27, but maybe somewhere in the 20s. But, maybe Justin Tucker, I know, he's had a so-so year, but, maybe he gets a late game field goal to win.
Oh, that'll give me a heart attack if we have to put him out there, especially if he's got a hit from 50 plus. That's gonna give me the nerves for real. But
Jake Elliott missed a couple. What was the game before this? But he missed a couple weeks before, and people was wondering, okay, what's wrong with Jake Elliott? But he looked fine the other day. So
yeah. I like you. I think this is a low scoring game. I thought 27-23, Ravens get the win. It's one of those games where
that's not a low scoring game, by the way.
What's that?
So that's about a normal game. That's about a normal. I wouldn't call that a low scoring game.
Okay. But I figured nobody was gonna crack 30. I guess is the best way to say it. Okay. Nobody's gonna crack 30, but I think 27-23, I think is about the right score there. I know people think it's going to be fireworks in this game, but I have a feeling it's not going to be that. I think it's going to be a back and forth kind of a game. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but this record that Lamar has against NFC teams, I think it's 20-1.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
20-1. The one loss was to the Giants last year.
Makes me even more uneasy.
So it's one of those things, man, because it reminds me of when Detroit came into our building last year and everybody was hype about, the upcoming Lions and what they was doing.
They can go all the way, yeah.
I wasn't expecting the Ravens to beat their ass, but I was still expecting them to, beat Detroit, whatever. Now, I don't think it's going to be like this with Philly. I think Philly's a good team, but, like you said, the 7 in a row, maybe due for a letdown, but really there shouldn't even be a letdown because you're going up against one of the top teams in the AFC. We're going up against one of the top teams in the NFC, so both teams should be getting up for this.
I know everybody's looking at, Kansas City and Buffalo, but and on the NFC side, everybody's looking at Detroit. But I mean, this is a possible Super Bowl matchup.
I agree with that.
A possibility.
I agree with that.
Yep. For sure.
I definitely agree with that. So, who has a better running game, Saquon or Derrick Henry Sunday?
I think Saquon has a better running game, but again,
I can see that.
I just put it back to Lamar, man. I just think he's just gonna make, maybe one more play than Saquon and Jalen, and I just think he's just gonna be tough to curtail because, again, also that loss of Brandon Graham, that's going to put a lot of pressure on that edge. Nolan Smith has to step up, and whoever else they put in there, which I'm not sure, to rotate because they do like to keep their defensive line fresh as well. So, and again, they were out Bryce Huff. Not that he had a good year at all. He's out on injured reserve. He won't be back till later in the season. But again, they're short on bodies on that part of the line. So,
yeah. How does the defense for Philly cover tight ends? Do they cover the tight end very well?
Well, that goes to Zach Vaughn. I mean, this guy, he was basically a special teamer in New Orleans. And I don't know what Howie Roseman saw. I don't know what Vic Fangio saw, but they brought him in. He won the job in training camp. And not only is he a great run stopper, he's also been excellent in coverage. And, if you look at the stats, tight ends have really not gone off at all. This year. So it's going to be an interesting matchup with both him and against Andrews and also too with Nakobe Dean. And I don't know if they're going to do this, but this is just a hunch. I think they will try to have Nakobe Dean try to spy Lamar. And it's going to be interesting to see what that matchup is going to, how that's going to play out.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting you mentioned Mark Andrews because I was going to say Isaiah Likely because Isaiah Likely has been
likely too,
quiet the past couple
Ravens
of games.
Have more depth on tight end than the Eagles do because basically Dallas Goedert, their backup is Kyle Katerra, who's more of a run blocker and everything. So that is a bit of an edge for the Ravens because they do have two go-to guys at tight end. And again, for part of Lamar's safety blanket, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's been like tight end by committee, it feels like, for the Ravens all year.
Mm-hmm.
In the opener against Kansas City, Isaiah Likely went off, and then a few games later, it's Mark Andrews, kind of coming back into the fold. But I'm looking for some things from Isaiah Likely this week, just because he's been quiet the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then I don't know a whole lot about the Ravens receivers. All I really see is Zay Flowers and all.
Rashad Bateman
and Bateman. I know
Nelson,
Bateman
your boy Nelson Aguilar.
Aguilar,
you can't forget him.
One of our Super Bowl heroes, right? So
yes, sir.
Again, there's going to be some interesting matchups against the Eagles secondary too. So I just think it's going to be a fun game overall. I'm pretty close.
Let's transition, OJ. Why in the hell are the Sixers bad, man? Why are they so bad?
It's simple. No Embiid, no George. They've been suffering injuries. George had that unfortunate hyperextended knee that he suffered in the preseason. He re-aggravated it a week ago. It's just been tough luck with Paul George. Joel Embiid is even deeper story. It just seems like at this point in his career that you're going to be nursing some type of injury. And I think it's just safe to say that, he has a lot of wear and tear on his knees. And that is typical for big men in the NBA. And again, it's so unfortunate because he's literally the last true center that we're going to see in the NBA for a very long time, because everybody's a stretch five. Yeah. Everybody is a point center, or, they're out there shooting threes first. And, the game is so outside in now. And, even his criticism over the years, I have a lot of friends who'll say, oh yeah, Embiid doesn't get inside enough and everything, but he gets inside when he's healthy. Of course, he gets inside much more than any other center that you'll see in the league. It also sucks too, because had he stayed healthy last year, he would have been the first true center since Wilt Chamberlain to average 35 points a game.
Wow.
Per season, and that's how dominant he was. You saw his MVP season. Of course, they've never been able to get out of the second round, but this was supposed to be the year that they put everything together with Embiid, with Paul George, and it just seems like they're just going to be nursing the injuries going forward. Tyrese Maxey, on the come up, he's a great player, but he's not the type of player that can just kind of carry you just with a bunch of injuries and all. He's a great dude too. But if there's one light at the end of the tunnel, is rookie Barrett McCain rather. He's lights out, man. I mean, he can shoot. We'll see, if he hits the rookie wall after a while. But he's definitely a bright light, being the 16th pick in the
I was just about to say, because I've been playing a lot of FanDuel lately, and every time the Sixers is on the schedule where I got to set up my lineups and stuff, I find myself happening to pick a Caleb Martin in my lineup and that guy McLean that you're talking about. And they've been producing points for me. Yep. Yeah, they've been producing a lot for me. So, I guess the bright spot, if you're a Sixers fan, is to kind of see him kind of, flourish in what he's been given the opportunity to do so.
He and Maxey in the backcourt and see how they progress. While both Embiid and George is out. And also, the bad thing is the guys that they brought in, Caleb Martin, Aaron Gordon, Reggie Jackson, all those guys, they have not contributed. They have not been consistent. That's a big reason why they're 3-13 right now. Yeah. And, even with Embiid and George out, if they don't get production from those guys, they're basically going to keep losing, because you just can't rely on two players and you don't get a lot of production off of free agents that you brought in.
How long you think it's going to take them to turn around?
But the good thing is the East isn't all that great, other than Cleveland, other than Boston, and then I would think
you got Orlando, you got the Knicks right there.
Yeah, and I would think the Knicks would improve, even though they're kind of fluctuating right now, trying to figure things out.
Well, we whooped Denver's ass last night.
So there you go. So that's probably a good sign for them.
Yep.
So other than that, that second part of the East, that second half of the East is not that great. So here in Philadelphia, we're just kind of waiting. Okay, try to win some games so you just kind of keep pace. It's a long season. We're not even out of November yet.
Right.
But you just hope that they can start winning some games, and maybe, just maybe, Embiid and George can come back and they can kind of play sparingly, because I mean it's getting late early up here.
You got them teams. You got like the Detroits in there. You got the Brooklyn Nets and Atlanta, Charlotte. You got those kinds of teams that's in that like 7 through 10 stretch that you wouldn't expect, early this year. So if there's a way to take advantage of the schedule, I'm sure the Sixers have those teams at some point in the schedule coming up. You got to beat those teams to be able to kind of climb your way back up into
and
the
even
standing.
if they do come up, my one concern, guys, is okay, what's the seeding going to look like? And with Embiid's history, with George's history, they really can't afford to be in a play-in once playoff time, because the last thing that Philly fans want, and I'm sure the Sixers want, well, who knows what the Sixers want, but it would be for Embiid to play any extra games in the playoffs.
So let's look into the future. The season ends for the Sixers, let's say round 1, because it's just too late to kind of get their footing. What happens in the offseason? Do they run it back with this same group of Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George, or do they, split those three up in some way?
Well, I don't know if you can. I mean, I don't know who's going to take those contracts. I mean,
it's early.
They just re-signed Embiid to an extension. George is here for what, 3-4 years? I don't know what the opt-out is. Maxey's not going anywhere. McCain's not going anywhere. So, I mean, they're basically stuck with Embiid and McCain. Embiid and George for the foreseeable future, unless Embiid just, wakes up and says, come get me out of here.
Yep. OJ, I know you can't speak much on this, but I've been waiting to hear about that beat reporter, Marcus Hayes, I think is his name, with the whole Embiid situation. I've been waiting to hear something that the company he works for labeled some kind of punishment on his behalf. Like, is he punished from the Sixers media access, or like, how does that work? Like,
not that I know of. I haven't seen any official word. Quite frankly, I don't expect any discipline, even though, they redacted part of that story, which I thought was, in poor taste. And, I've met Marcus Hayes. I've had conversations with him, and, over his time, he's been a great writer. But, when you cross over to the columnist part and everything, it kind of gets, real murky and tricky. I'm a columnist now, so I get to, exert my opinions and everything. But, just from a personal standpoint, that's not my style and everything. Of course, criticize the player, be critical, everything, leave a family out, leave the son out, leave somebody, especially someone who, exactly. So, that's kind of how journalism is going, and that's the part of it that I kind of hate. And, it makes me not blame, I've been a staunch critic of new media, so to speak, but I can't blame athletes nowadays to, start their own media companies and do their own podcasts like you guys are doing, which, you do a great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I can't blame them, because there are a lot of us in the media who force that. And, they want to express themselves. They want to break their own news. They want to, speak about different things, their own opinions and all. There's a responsibility to that, I believe. But, I can't blame them. And, when I, talk to students, whether it be high school or college, or people trying to come up in the business, I always have a cardinal rule. And I just say, work the story, never become a story.
That's right.
And, if I write something, guys, and, I become a brunt of the story, other than, the subject or the athlete or whoever, it's time for me to get out.
That's respect.
Love that. Maestro, if you got nothing else, man.
Nah, man. OJ, go ahead and post it or promote anything you want to promote for the listeners, man.
Well, thank you, man. So you can just go right on Philly Trib to the sports section, and you can see all my stories. You can go on my social media. I'm still on X, but I started my Blue Sky as well.
I got to start mine
Philly,
too.
Yep.
OJ Philly on all the platforms and everything. I'm even on Threads too. I put all my work on there. And even just when you go on my bio, I mean, you can click on there and you can just see all my stories. You could even subscribe, and whenever any of my stories come up, you'll get them right in your inbox. But thank you so much, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem,
Appreciate
man.
you. See them in them internet streets, and you will be hearing from me soon, because hopefully y'all whip up on Baltimore, but you gotta come see Pittsburgh too. Oh, I think we gotta come see y'all.
Pittsburgh.
I was gonna say Pittsburgh got to go see them.
Yeah. Kind of a different animal, but I think it's both will be tough games for the Eagles. But thanks for having me on, guys, and I always appreciate coming on. My pleasure, and you guys do a great job.
Keep yes, sir. Appreciate
you. Yeah, so appreciate you, man. All right
now.
Yes, sir.
Peace out to the homie right there, OJ Spivey. Make sure y'all follow his work, the Philly Tribune. See his stuff on Twitter at OJ Philly and all that good stuff, man. So always good to hear from the homie there, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
You got some quick hitters.
I mean, and it's really, I promise you, it's really quick. The only thing I wanted to say is shout out to LaMelo Ball, because LaMelo Ball been going crazy in the past week, man.
Didn't he shoot somebody face off?
Man,
the other night?
I know he scored 44 the other night and then 50 like last week sometime. But I've been seeing people posting about how obviously the Hornets are not getting a whole bunch of national coverage, and they think that, and a lot of people are clamoring that they're gonna move him out of Charlotte so he can be seen. Like, that's the kind of ball he playing right now.
See, I can't. I hate that. I hate that, because it's like Oklahoma City, they getting shine, but we know why they're getting shine, because they winning. They winning and they got to do.
Right.
Charlotte is a much bigger market than Oklahoma City. It's an up and coming sports market. I never really understood that. Oh, we're not, they're not being exposed enough to the national audience.
Well, let's be honest. Some of these teams just aren't being exposed to, like.
Yeah, no, I got you. Like Cleveland. Like Cleveland is 17-1,
right?
And they're not gonna have a lot of national, TV games as we get into the, late winter, early spring,
right?
But Charlotte. I mean, and they've been bad. They've been bad for a long time.
Yeah. So that's why they're not getting shown.
LaMelo Ball, I mean, if this is the highlight reel you're going to get from him, I suggest media outlets, hey, y'all better show this brother a lot more. I forget what their record is, but I know they're under 500, but they're not that, bad of a team at this point. So, but yeah, show the kid LaMelo some love, man.
Shout out Melo.
Shout out to the homie. And let me, since we're talking NBA players, balling, shout out to OG Anunoby last night, putting up a 40-piece against the Denver Nuggets. Beat that team 145 to 118 or something like that. The Knicks have become this offensive juggernaut, if that's the correct term. That's not a Tibbs team normally. Like, that's, Tibbs wants you to play defense and, solid scoring, but not scoring 140, on a nightly basis and all that stuff. But, shout out to the OG Anunoby, man. He's been playing some of his best ball, and I'm talking, both sides, offense, defense, and all that. So shout out to the homie.
For sure. You want to do picks, man?
Yeah, let's get into the picks, man. Got to make sure I'm parked in front of a TV on Thanksgiving, and look, the games are not that great.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm just gonna spend some quality family time.
It's not that great. Although the night game, I'm intrigued by the night game because we talked about it. Miami is trending upward now that they got Tua back healthy. And, we already know what the Green Bay Packers are. So I think that's the game where you could say you're going to get some fireworks out of that game. But let's start with the Bears at Detroit taking on the Lions.
Yeah.
We know it's a division game, but I'm going to go with Detroit.
I'm going to go with Detroit.
Yep. And we got Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush.
Give me the Cowboys.
You know what? I hope Malik Neighbors saying what he said, saying that they were soft in the locker room. I hope that lights a fire under some of these guys. And the coach is saying now that he's not 100% sure Tommy DeVito is going to play. I don't know if that's, gamesmanship or what, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Drew Lock, even though Drew Lock has some experience and probably can play a lot better than Tommy DeVito can, I'm going to go Cowboys. I mean, why not? Cowboys coming off of a emotional win, high-strung win, which could also set up for a letdown, but I'm going to stick with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then the night game on Thanksgiving, Miami at Green Bay. What you got? Should be a good game, though.
You say at Green Bay?
Miami at Green Bay, yeah.
Give me Green Bay. Yeah, give me Green Bay. At Green Bay, give me Green Bay.
I'm gonna go upset here. I like what Miami's doing.
Miami need it.
They need it, yeah. They need it. I think they're gonna come out aggressive. It ain't gonna be that cold. It ain't gonna be minus 30 out there. So I'm gonna go upset here. I'm gonna pick the Dolphins just because they need it.
All right.
So the Black Friday game, another division game, Raiders at the Chiefs. I don't see any reason why to pick the Raiders. I know they beat them on Christmas last year, but this is a different year, and the Raiders are not that great this
Chiefs.
year. I'm going Chiefs here. All right. Sunday's games. We got the Chargers. It's an interesting one. You got Chargers at the Falcons.
I'm gonna take the Chargers.
You want to take Chargers?
I'm gonna take the Chargers.
Atlanta, what? They lost 2 straight.
6 and 5. Like 6 and 5, I think, right now.
Yeah, 6 and 5. It's because it seemed like Atlanta needed it in the worst way. I mean, I know the teams behind them aren't really giving much. I mean, I guess you can make a case for Tampa coming off their win. I'm gonna go Falcons at home. I'm gonna go Falcons. All right. Your boys in Cincinnati taking on the Bengals.
I'm taking Pittsburgh. Yes, sir.
Highsmith,
get back, man.
Is he questionable?
Yeah. I think he said that what he said today is we'll see by Friday is basically what he said.
Well, like I said last week, I think the Bengals, they're not a very good team right now. Defensively, they're not a very good team.
Right.
As long as Burrow and Chase is there and Higgins is there as a number 2, I think this is going to be a tough game for y'all. I see Cincinnati pulling this one out. Close game, but I see him pulling this one out. Unfortunately for y'all. Arizona, another interesting one. Arizona in Minnesota facing the Vikings.
I think I'm going to take Arizona in a quote-unquote upset, and I think this is when you start to see Minnesota unravel a little bit.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna take the Vikings just because you picked Arizona, because I thought about going Arizona also, but I'm gonna pick the Vikings. Who cares about this game? Colts at the Patriots. Patriots. The hell.
I'll take the Colts.
All right. Seattle at the Jets.
I don't care about this game either. But give me Seattle.
I'm gonna go upset if this is such thing as an upset. Jets at home. Titans at the Commanders. We kind of talked briefly about this earlier. Titans got a good front seven.
I'm going to the Commanders still.
Okay. I will too. I'll take the Commanders.
I just got finished having this conversation about a Cowboys fan trying to convince me that basically the Commanders are getting ready to take a dive for the worst. And and then I thought about what shout out to Arabia on Twitter. That video about Cliff Kingsbury. But I don't think that happens here. I don't think this happens this year. Like I said, as good as the Titans defense is, or I don't. Not today. Not this day. I give it the Commanders.
And they put up 30 on the Texans. Let's keep that in mind too.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking about the Texans. Like, they've laid some eggs this year. So
for sure. Yeah. And those division matchups, man, you just like never know. I mean, it's a reason why we had 3 upsets and it was all divisional games. So you just never know with this. I'm gonna pick the Commanders too, and I'm glad you brought up what Arabia said about the Cliff Kingsbury stuff, because I came on here and I didn't want to put that on him because he's the OC, he's not the head coach, but
he is running the offense. In the offense,
3 weeks in a row, and this offense has been looking a little shaky. So until you can overcome that, this is the narrative that folks are going to keep bringing up about you, Cliff. So. But I'm gonna pick the Commanders this week against Tennessee. We'll see what happens after that. All right, Texans at the Jags. I'm gonna go Texans, obviously here.
Yep.
We got the Rams in New Orleans taking on the Saints. The Saints have been kind of on a roll lately.
Give me the Rams.
Think the Rams need this one though.
Yeah, give me the Rams.
Rams need this one. I'm gonna pick the Rams. Give me the Bucks over Carolina in Carolina, and Quick shout out to Bryce Young, because he stepped up against the best team, presumably the best team in the league in Kansas City last week. We talked about teams trying to crack, 30 points against, that Kansas City defense, and they was just 3 points away from doing it, So shout out to him for that. Eagles at the Ravens. Ravens 27, Eagles 23. I'm sticking with that score.
Let's go Eagles. Oh, you want me to give you a score? You kind of paused.
I was scrolling actually. I was scrolling to the next matchup.
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
But if you want to, I ain't gonna stop.
I mean, I don't really care because it's not my squad. But I mean, if you ask me to get a score, how much they score against the Rams?
I was gonna say you're gonna watch the game, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah. Because we got the 1 o'clock, so yeah, I definitely be watching the Ravens.
They put up 37 against the
37?
Rams.
Okay, 33-27 Eagles.
All right. 49ers and Buffalo taking on the Bills in the Sunday night game.
Good night, 49ers. Give me Buffalo.
I will take the Bills. And then Monday night, you got famous Jameis going up against the Broncos and Bo Nix.
Give me the Broncos.
Yep. Got the Broncos too. All right. Quick shout out to the folks in the chat.
Yes,
Vince Wright, the homie Taz in here, X Squad. Appreciate y'all. Also, everybody in the IG live chat, Mrs. Taylor, 8120.
Whatever.
Appreciate you. Don't forget, folks, continue to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We're also on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Also look for us on Blue Sky as well. Follow us on Twitch. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the like button on the Facebook page. If you got questions or comments about the show, hit us up at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. And we got a merch store with some hats, hoodies, and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. We got the link in the description of this episode right there for you. Click on it. I'm sure you'll find some nice stuff on there. And then we still got these hats. DM me about these hats, y'all. New era trucker hats, as Maestro likes to call it.
No, just as they're called. But
I still got some of these on deck here. So if y'all interested in the hat, just shoot me a DM. I'll make sure to ship one out right to you. If you got nothing else, man, just want to say to everybody out there, y'all have a very happy holiday, Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family, enjoy some football, enjoy some quality time with your peeps. Stay safe in them streets for sure. Don't get in no trouble. Don't hurt nobody. We all family out here, all trying to make it out here. So Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there. And as always, mind your damn business.
And drink some water.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey shot with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called the